In his book, The Jesus I Never Knew, author Philip Yancey describes the Jesus he knew as a child. A Jesus who was kind and sweet and friendly, meek and mild, portrayed in pictures with flawless porcelain skin and surrounded by rosy-cheeked children. And perhaps that's your memory of childhood Jesus as well. It certainly fits with mine. But then Philip Yancey goes on to say, but the Jesus he never knew was the Jesus he met when he read the Gospels as an adult. A Jesus who was not just meek and mild, but a Jesus who was bold and passionate and strong. A Jesus who felt the full range of human emotions because he was fully human as well as fully divine. A Jesus who was able to stand up to authority. A Jesus who was able to draw people to himself, both those who were considered the good people of society, but those who were on the fringes as well. And a Jesus who was mission-focused and able to focus on exactly what the Father sent him to do and nothing else. And this is the Jesus we meet in today's Gospel, where we hear the incredible encounter of Jesus with a Canaanite woman. This Gospel we hear today is nobody's favourite story about Jesus. Nobody chooses it for their wedding. Nobody wants it at their school graduation. Nobody puts it on an inspirational poster on Instagram. Because Jesus comes across as not nice. He does not come across as kind or friendly at all. In fact, he comes across as downright rude. This woman calls out to Jesus and he refuses to help her, at least at first. So what's going on? Let's explore that together. We have to realize that what Jesus is doing firstly is he's gone across to the region of Tyre and Sidon, which is effectively going to a foreign country. It's going to the non-Jewish parts of Israel at the time. Jesus, as a Jewish man, understood himself that he only was meant to associate with Jewish people. And as the Messiah, Jesus understood that his ministry, his mission from the Father, was to the nation of Israel alone. And so when this woman calls out, she's a foreigner, and he just ignores her. He's not being mean or nasty. She simply is not on his radar. She doesn't even count to him, because for him, only Jews matter. But this woman calls out. At first he ignores her. She comes up to his face and says, "Please help my daughter." And Jesus comes out with this astonishing reply, "It's not fair to take the food from the children and give it to the house dogs." He's effectively saying the Jews, they are the children, they're the children of Israel, and you others, you're the dogs effectively. You're not worth my time. And he's like a teacher who says to a student from another class, "Hey, can you go see your own teacher about this?" Or a manager who says to an employee, "Can you please see your direct supervisor, not me?" He's palming her off to someone else. But then she comes near and begs, and she has this extraordinary faith. And she says, "Sir, even the dogs under the table get to eat the scraps that the children have left over." Meaning, I have such faith in you and who you are that I believe even the little you have left over, after you've done your first priority, that'll be enough for me. That'll be enough for me and my daughter. And Jesus recognizes her faith. He says, "You have great faith, woman." And then he agrees to heal her daughter. This is strange to us. We always think of Jesus as always perfect, always good. But here we get a dynamic moment where Jesus actually changes. His worldview expands beyond what he originally thought his mission was. He meets this woman as an individual person, as a woman of faith, and then he chooses to change and expand his focus. And thank goodness he did. Because at the end of the gospel, in fact, after his ascension, he commissions his disciples, his go out and spread the good news to all people. He said, starting in Jerusalem and in Judea, but then go to Samaria and all the ends of the earth. He explicitly commands them to go to the non-Jews. And thank goodness he did, because we are the non-Jews. We are the recipients of Jesus' mission and that of his disciples, which has created the church we are today throughout the entire world. But perhaps that would never have happened if Jesus didn't meet this woman whose faith, whose tenacity and perseverance had an influence on Jesus and expanded his horizon. That's good news for us, I think. Good news for us that it's okay for us to grow and change. In fact, it's vital. It's necessary that we grow and expand our horizons too. We are all, a bit like Jesus in his time, innately tribal. I've been reading a great book called The Righteous Mind by an author, Jonathan Haidt, who says that we as humans, we are innately tribal in that it's part of human evolution, that we have formed to kind of form bonds with people who are not just our immediate family, but people who are like us, our tribe and our kin. It's what's allowed us to create a complex society. But as part of that, we almost always have a sense of distancing ourselves from people who are other or distant. It's therefore a great part of our own growth to see others who are different to us as somehow worthy of our attention and time, that we should actually love and care for them as much as we love and care for those who are closest to us. And very often we can, be great people who love our family and our friends and those who we view as the same as us. People who are Catholic, like me. People who are Australian, like me. People who come from my hometown, or barrack for my football team, or went to my same school. But easy to find ourselves more distant from those we see somehow other. And that's often true until we meet an individual from that other category. Often we are quite blind to others until we meet a person who's a refugee and hear their story. Or meet a person who is gay and hear what it's like for them. Or meet a person who is disabled and hear what life is like for them. And then our eyes are opened and we come see that person and others like them as a whole person and find ourselves drawn to be in a relationship of love and care with them as well. It's part of what governments often do to keep others dehumanized, to keep people in refugee camps or keep people away from our line of sight so we don't meet them and don't learn their story, so we don't feel sympathy and compassion for them. But we as Christians, we as followers of Jesus need to make sure that we actively work to remove our blinders. So I invite you, are there people you can recognize that you've been blind to in your life, that maybe you've met a person who's then opened your eyes? I can recognize the times in my life that's happened to me. But more importantly, I have to recognize, are there still people whom I'm blind to, who I don't see as worthy or fully human, or someone I should really deeply engage with? Let's go with Jesus, and let's ask Jesus to open our eyes, just as his own eyes were opened by that brave Canaanite woman in a way that expanded his horizon, his worldview, and his sense of love. Let us pray that our worldview, our horizons, our love would be expanded as well.